And welcome back, everyone, to episode 12 of the Sports Coverage Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm alongside Vince once again. Welcome back. It's good to have you. It's been a little bit. We've missed you a lot in the last couple weeks. We talked about some good stuff, though, with our guests. So thank you again to Jack and Dylan for coming on to help fill in for Vince. But we have him back. We have a lot to talk about this week. So let's just hop right into it. So we're going to start with the NFL. As always, we talk about Thursday Night Football. So it was the Bucs at the Bills, and it ended 24-18 in favor of the Bills. So just quickly, I just want to say Josh Allen looked really, really strong in this game, and he looked good on his feet. He had good throws, deep and short passes, and I just like to see his versatility again in this game because he's looked a little shaky over the last couple losses that the Bills have had this season. So it's good to see him back in his full MVP caliber form.
Yeah, but I mean, although you won the game by a short amount. You only won by, you only won 24-18. And that's not something we see with the Bills. They obviously beat one of the better teams in the Miami Dolphins and actually destroy them. So if they can't beat not really a contender team like this, it's definitely a crucial win. And it's a nail biter, you know what I mean? Like I don't think that this Bills team is going to go that far, and I think that the Dolphins are better. So I don't mean to be biased or anything, Andrew, but if the Bills are going to be only beating the Bucs by this certain amount, 24-18, I don't think the Bills have a shot even making it to the Super Bowl or even having an MVP caliber player.
Well, I just want to say on the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield also looked really good in this game. There were a lot of doubters before the season about what the Bucs would be able to do with Baker Mayfield as their QB, but he did look really good, and that definitely contributed to why it ended 24-18. We saw Chris Godwin do pretty well getting a touchdown pass. Mike Evans looked good. So the Bucs team really came together here. Their running back Rashad White played well. They all had a good game, but I think the Bills are definitely still the stronger team here. But you're right. I don't know how far they're going to go when they're only beating the Bucs 24-18.
Yeah, I mean the Bucs are a good team. Don't get me wrong, but they're not the same team, that they won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. This is a completely different team, and if the Bills are only going to be able to beat, the Bucs by this certain amount, it's gonna be tough for them the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, and it was towards the end of the game that at one point they were down two scores, but they did score that last touchdown late in the game, so that kind of pushed them back up because it would have finished 24 to a lot less than 18. But I think that the Bills defense looked a little shaky there, especially on pass coverage and stuff, because Baker Mayfield was able to do that well. But I think that it was a good win for the Bills, and it was definitely they definitely deserved it in this game.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the injury report. This seems to be happening almost every week on this podcast that we have multiple injuries we need to talk about, unfortunately. But we're going to start with an injury we haven't talked about yet. Kyler Murray still may not play this week, despite him apparently being fully healthy. So he's been fully participating in practices and stuff like that, but he's still listed as questionable for his game on Sunday. So we're not 100% certain if he's going to be making his season debut. And the Cardinals have looked like, well, what we expected without him, but they haven't been as bad as people would think. And we really don't know. Do you think Kyler Murray would really help this team that much?
I mean, there's players in the league, right? There's certain quarterbacks that have, that little magic. And Kyler Murray is one of those players, few players that have that magic. And whether it's running the ball, you know, he has a special ability. Not many quarterbacks have the ability like Kyler Murray. He's a magician. I mean, that's literally his nickname. So I think that Kyler Murray could be a helper for this team. But if we look at what Joshua Dobbs has been doing for this team, he's doing all right. He's doing what many people expected him to do. They beat the Cowboys, but that was really their only win. So I think if Kyler Murray comes back, I think he can change the trajectory of this season for this Cardinals team. But I think we're gonna have to wait really till next season to see what they'll do with the quarterback situation. Will they move on from Kyler Murray? Because he is, a good player, don't get me wrong. I think he has that little magic in him. I think he's one of the few players that has the ability to really run the ball and use his feet a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think Kyler Murray is a special player, but I don't think this Cardinals team will be able to just change. I think they're gonna have to keep Joshua Dobbs in this season.
Yeah, I agree. And in the game against the Giants, Joshua Dobbs looked very strong, which might be because the Giants defense was absolutely horrible in the first half of that game. Same for our offense. But he did look pretty strong in that game. And from the few games I've watched, like the Cowboys game against the Cardinals, he's looked pretty good and he's looked pretty comfortable there. So I don't know if maybe if splitting time with Kyler Murray would be the best spot for him, especially to keep on doing what he's been doing this season. But we'll see if Kyler even plays this weekend. Because if he doesn't, that's going to be one more week for Dobbs to prove himself.
Yeah, I think Joshua Dobbs should play the remainder of the season just due to the fact that a change could cost the team, and you got to be a little wise with your situation. Your situations of making like doing something with the player. And I think like changing a player out like Joshua Dobbs and not letting him play the rest of the season can affect this Cardinals team, not just this season, but in seasons going forward.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of players that can run the ball, especially quarterbacks, we're going to talk about Daniel Jones. Although maybe he can't run the ball, we don't really know. But Daniel Jones will miss a third game this week in the city rivalry versus the Jets. The Jets are currently 3-3 versus the 2-5 Giants, and it's a 1 o'clock game. Guess where? MetLife Stadium. So, just I'm a Giants fan, so I just want to talk about this game real quick. In the past, both these teams have been bad. We are both still bad. The Jets may be a little better than the Giants, but I think that the Giants may be able to squeeze out this one, especially with Tyrod Taylor, because really it looks like Tyrod
Yeah,
Taylor's had a much
he
better connection with our wide receivers than Daniel
yeah,
Jones did.
he looks like Tyrod Taylor's doing phenomenal, and especially against the game against the Bills. But the only issue I have with Tyrod is, you know, right before the first half had ended in the Bills game, there was a costly decision by the offense, wasting about
Ooh,
15 seconds going into halftime. And when I was watching the game, I thought to myself, and I'm like, that's gonna hurt this team going to the second half. And what we saw, and what we saw going into the second half was not good from the Giants
and
team. So
they did it again at the end of
yeah,
the game to
so
potentially win it.
that's
So
kind of that's why this team isn't why it where they're not like just being mindful. And I understand that Coach Dayball won Coach of the Year last year, but I don't think he should earn that right if he's not going to be able to coach his team the right way and actually do the right things the right way. Because if we're gonna be making costly decisions like that and really just affecting your team mentally, it's gonna suck, and that's why they're 2-5. Now with the Jets, I like the Jets, but I I just think it's gonna be such a bad game. I don't think
yeah,
either of these teams
just
are
punt the
gonna
whole game.
listen. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a huge scoring game unless these defenses are gonna be really bad. Though I do think this Jets team is going to come out with a win due to the fact that they can beat big, big name teams like the Chiefs. I know they didn't beat the Chiefs, but what I'm saying is like they were playing close games. Like they could play with these good teams out here. They beat the Bills, so I think the Jets could do it. I think they could pull off an upset, or not, not an upset, but like just a good win. And I think if the Jets win, they could definitely get above 500 and get back on track.
Yeah, I agree with the Jets definitely having a chance in this game, but I think from just what I've seen from the Giants last couple weeks, I mean, none of these games have been actually that good, but it's been it's looked better and I'm happy with what I've seen, especially from like our linebacker core. on our defense. I think our defense has been getting better, especially in the game against the Bills. They looked really, really strong. That might have also been because Josh Allen was half hurt for part of the game because he went to the medical tent at one point. But I like what I've seen so far, and I think the Giants may potentially be able to pull off a win here. Don't know by how much, but I
I
think
don't know about that,
they have a
Andrew. I
chance.
don't
They
know
have a
about
chance.
that. Listen,
They have a
Andrew,
chance.
this Giants team is not the same as it was back in the 2000s, 2010s. It's not the same team.
Or even last year.
Exactly. Even last year. Last year, I don't know, you guys came out of nowhere. But now, I don't know. I don't think they're making the playoffs for maybe even the next 5 years. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Ooh, that's a little rough. We'll see what happens there, and I definitely want to talk about this game next week.
Next week, yeah.
Whether we win or lose. So it's time for the trade deadline, which is coming up this Tuesday, I believe. So the day after when we're filming. I'm sure there'll be a lot of activity when we post this. But a move that happened last week, the Eagles traded for Tennessee Titans star Kevin Byard and our sending safety Tyrell Edmonds plus a 2024 fifth and sixth round pick to Tennessee in the deal. So this is a very, very good deal for the Eagles, and we've seen their GM making a lot of good moves with AJ Brown and others in the last couple of years, and they're definitely trying to get back to the Super Bowl like they did last year. So it's going to be interesting to see what other moves they may attempt to make, or if they just want to sit with what they have right now and see if they can push through to the postseason.
Yeah, this is just phenomenal work by the Eagles GM here. I think trading for such a high caliber safety in Kevin Byard is huge, especially losing CJ Gardner-Johnson in the offseason. So just getting back a safety is huge. And I understand that they have rookie safeties and good and not even a bad secondary. Just making this team even better is just amazing. And what Bowman is doing in the front office is it's great. It's great. And I think that this team, we could definitely see them back in the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The loss to the Jets was a little bit interesting, especially from Eagles fans. They were like, what is happening there? But it's definitely been quite an interesting season so far, but I agree that the Eagles are still a strong team, and I think that they'll definitely be able to push through pretty deep into the postseason. I don't want them to as a Giants fan, but I think they definitely have a chance to. Yeah. So another thing about the trade deadline. So Dalvin Cook has been placed on the trade block by the Jets, but reportedly has not received much interest, most likely due to the fact that he has not looked too good at the start of the season, especially splitting time with Hall. So I think it's a right move for the Jets to try to trade him immediately, but I don't really know who out there needs a running back this desperately.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that Dalvin Cook is what I said he would be in the offseason. He does not look like the player I was talking about in the beginning of the season. So I don't know who would really want Dalvin Cook at the moment. As a Dolphins fan, what we see with Devon Achane right now, currently, I don't even think I want to lay a hand on him because due to the fact that the Dolphins have good running backs. And it goes for any other team. I think Dalvin Cook could be good use, but he's doing really nothing for this Jets team. That I'm gonna apologize for hyping him up a little too much. And I just he's not looking good at all. So I don't know where he would possibly go.
Yeah, and another running back trade that may potentially be happening is there was a lot of talk about Derrick Henry potentially being traded from the not so great Tennessee Titans, but he also hasn't really received that much traction according to the Titans. So is there any team that you think might want to go for him still, or do you think he's just going to settle down with the Titans?
He's gonna settle down with the Titans. He's gonna stay there because he's been there his whole career, and knowing Derrick Henry, he's not gonna want to leave. I know the type of guy he is, and I don't think he's wants out for money. I don't think he wants out to win a ring. And anyone wants to win a ring, but I don't think he wants to leave this Titans team at the current moment.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be a lot more to talk about in the trade deadline and next week, especially after it's over when this is all going to start heating up even more this weekend into Monday and Tuesday. But we're going to move on to the other football, college football, not flag football yet. Sorry. We'll talk
So
about that more in the next couple of weeks because Vince definitely has a lot to say about it. But it's
yeah.
time for game of the week. We do this every week. Ton to talk about here. So, Vince, I'm sure you're very excited about this one. One of these is your team. So let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Gators versus Georgia. I understand the University of Florida has not beat the Bulldogs in 3 years, and the dynasty Georgia has built over the course of those years is truly special. But when this rivalry is on Halloween weekend in sunny Jacksonville, don't underestimate Florida. Give me the Gators, baby.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. I'd love to see that happen as an Alabama fan. And, Bama is off this weekend. A little upset about that, but I'm definitely going to be rooting for your Gators here. I agree there's an upset potentially brewing. Tim Tebow got on the other day and said this is the best rivalry in college football.
It
So,
really is. I mean,
yeah.
we even go like halfway to meet each other in Jacksonville, which is just great. And I know so many people that go to Jacksonville to go see this game. So the fact that the love for this rivalry from both of these fan bases is amazing, and just to see that, and I understand that the Gators haven't really won against the Georgia Bulldogs in the last couple of years. I think we can definitely make a turnaround in this rivalry.
And they probably haven't won because Georgia's been the best team in the league the last couple of years. So,
And listen, and if
yeah.
if it's not winning this year, it's winning in the next couple of years. I know it's not going to be another drought of 10 years not winning in Jacksonville against Georgia. I think it's going to be sooner than later, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So my college football game of the week, I'm not going with the boring option for game day. I'm going with Duke versus Louisville. So
Ooh.
we talked about Duke earlier in the season in another game of the week versus Notre Dame, which they unfortunately lost. So now they're 5-2. But I really like what I've been seeing from Riley Leonard and their team as a whole. They've looked, I mean, they came out of nowhere. The Duke football program came out of nowhere. We
Yeah.
we had no idea they were even partly capable of this. But Louisville is also 6-1. That's the same record as Bama and other teams that are in the top
Actually,
50.
football schools. I'm sorry to say, I don't think Louisville is really that much of a football school. It's just the
Oh
fact that
yeah.
they're 6-1 is just pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And to
Both
see
these
these
teams,
teams,
yeah.
both these teams exactly, coming out of nowhere this season like that. But I think a loss from any of these teams, especially a loss to Louisville, can take them out of playoff contention,
Oh,
which
definitely.
looking right now is definitely not going to happen. And if it was the 12 team playoff bracket, I think Louisville would have a shot. But right now, it doesn't look like they're going to make it even to the college football playoff. They'll definitely have a hell of a bowl game though. Um, but yeah, a
Yeah.
loss can definitely hurt them for the rest of
But
the season.
yeah, I just want to talk about the Louisville QB real quick because as I'm looking at his stats, I noticed he has 13 touchdowns, 1,900 yards, but 8 interceptions. So he has
Ooh,
over half as many interceptions than he has touchdowns, which is going to be interesting for the Duke defense to try to figure that out because I think that could definitely be a bit of a weakness for Louisville in this game. So I'm going to go with the underdog Duke here. I'd definitely like to see them win, but I think both these teams, it's cool to see them both this high in the rankings, and I'm excited for this game.
yeah, I think Louisville has a more of a shot just due to not just the record wise, but I think they have a better shot. But anything can happen. It's college football.
Yeah. So something we just quickly want to talk about and put out there is Michigan is currently under investigation for sign stealing, and this will be the second allegation during the 2023-2024 season. We will update you as soon as we get more insight onto what's going on here. So we're going to move on to the NBA. I know the NBA season just started and we should be talking about this more, but we have a ton more to talk about in this episode. So we're just going to quickly touch on the number one pick, Victor Wembanyama, who has been on fire starting this season. And, something we talked about in the early episodes and just outside of filming is these tall, skinny guys are definitely prone to injury. So we got to hope that he stays healthy for the season. And I think he will be very, very good in his career, especially just based off of what we've seen in like 2 games or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the Rookie of the Year race is definitely going to be Victor Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren. Due to and I understand these are both skinny big men, but man, they're looking good this season. Whether it's blocking the ball, playing great perimeter defense,
Yeah,
scoring,
Victor.
playmaking, they're
Yeah,
doing all. So it's definitely going to be a run between those two for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. It
yeah,
could be
and
Scoot Henderson, but I just think that these two right now, have we seen looking right now, like watching them play, they've looked way better than anyone right now.
Wemby's first block came like 20 seconds into his first game in his debut, and he just got up there and slammed it down, like he wasn't even
Yeah.
trying. So
Okay, I just want to touch on something real quick. I don't know if you realized, and you were looking on social media recently, Andrew, but he had identical stats to Tim Duncan in his first game. Tim
yeah, I
Duncan
did see
and him
that.
had
Yeah, that's
the same
crazy.
identical stats in the first games, which is pretty crazy. You know, I just think that Pop is a great coach, and he's definitely gonna build this team the way he wants to build them, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited to see how the Spurs do this season with Wemby and kind of a newly rejuvenated team. So I'm excited to watch this team, especially Wemby here. He's looked good, so let's hope he can stay healthy and get through the season. So talk about MLB. As I've said, my favorite sport, and the 119th World Series is here. As of filming, the first game has completed, and in epic fashion, Adolis Garcia hit a walk-off bomb to seal it for the Texas Rangers. The two will play again today with the Rangers at home and Monday with the D-backs at home. This series is going to be absolutely wild. I'm so excited to see what happens over the next couple weeks or couple days even. And next week it's going to be even more interesting to see. I could the series potentially be over by next Saturday when we film? It might be. So that could be
I mean, it
something.
depends, but
But I don't think that's
due
going to
to
happen. I
I
think
mean,
the
due
D-backs are going to get a win here.
yeah, due
It's
to the fact that the Rangers are now leading the series with a win as of recording on Saturday morning. I don't know. I think this Rangers team has momentum. They have home field advantage the first 2 games, so anything can happen. But I don't think this Arizona team can come back. And I think that this Texas Rangers team, as you said in the beginning of the postseason, they are the better team. And I agree with you. And I want to just apologize to everyone that's listening to the podcast right now. I'm sorry that I chose the Braves to make it to the World Series and win. Uh, we should have listened to Andrew. I think
yeah.
I have better football knowledge than Andrew, but he has better baseball knowledge than me. So I think we should just listen to Andrew from now on. And and I just want to touch on something super, super quick that Adolis Garcia is looking amazing, man. I don't know. I knew who Adolis Garcia was when he first came into the league, but man, he has turned to a
Yeah, it's
beast
been
in this
insane.
postseason, man. I don't know if I wasn't really paying attention to the Rangers in the regular season as much. I know that they
Yeah.
had one of the better seeds in going into the postseason,
And
but
I think when the
he's doing
Scherzer
great in
trade
the
happens,
postseason.
yeah.
Yeah, like this team is ready and they're on fire. And I just want to like another thing is that if this Texas Rangers team had a good pitching staff, like imagine if they had Jacob DeGrom and he wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, would this team have the best pitching for this World Series? Not only would they have Montgomery, they would have Scherzer and DeGrom in the first
And
3 games.
Evaldi. And Evaldi.
And
Evaldi
Evaldi, oh
pitched
my
pretty
God.
well yesterday, yeah.
Wow, man. Yo, imagine all 4 of those guys just to start the beginning of the series that would be insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, sadly, DeGrom is not playing, and as a partial Mets fan, all right. I'm not a
Well,
Mets fan.
that's interesting, but
I'm a partial Mets fan. Uh, I love Jacob DeGrom and Noah Syndergaard. So, yeah, no, I used to love the Mets pitching staff and their core. So I really hope Jacob DeGrom comes out and get this World Series win, even though he's not playing.
yeah, I do too. I think he deserves it. A lot of those guys that were stuck on the Mets for that long deserve it. I'm
Jeez,
not just
man.
saying that
Yeah,
as a
he
Yankees
deserves
fan.
that.
I
He
actually
deserves
feel
that.
bad for them.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, this World Series is actually going to be fun. This is the first time in a long time. I think only 3 times in the entire history, like I said, 119 World Series, that 2 wild card teams have made it. These are 2 wild card teams, Vince. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. This is crazy. I
Uh,
just I just think
Ranger,
that the Rangers is the better team, though. I that's where I
yeah,
put it. I don't know if Arizona is capable enough to win. I mean, they looked amazing, and and being able to beat Philly in Philly, that's
yeah,
that's already something. That's already like a World Series at its finest. And being able to win the NLCS with a stacked, stacked,
Philly,
postseason with
Phillies, yeah,
everything.
stacked
Not
postseason.
yeah, just with everyone going on in the the NL with whether it's the Braves, Milwaukee, and and the Phillies. It's crazy just to win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to make it
Yeah,
out of the NLCS alive. And it's the same thing with the NBA. Just making it out the East is not hard. So it's
yeah.
definitely amazing to watch.
Yeah, and we'll keep talking about this. Like I said, next week there's potential for it to be over already, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I think the Diamondbacks are going to come storming back here a bit. But some of managerial moves. So former Padres manager Bob Melvin has taken a job with the San Francisco Giants as their manager after the Giants lost theirs earlier this I'm saying off season, but it's really postseason. Off season hasn't started yet, even though there's a ton of news already going around with Juan Soto and others. But we have more managerial news. So after the Astros ALCS lost to their in-state rivals, manager and former player Dusty Baker has announced his retirement from the MLB. As a player, he won 1 World Series with the Dodgers in 1981 and was lucky enough to play with Hank Aaron on the Braves for a little bit there.
Wow.
And of
Yeah.
course, won one as a manager with the 2022 Astros. Dusty Baker is a legendary manager. I don't like the Astros. Most people don't like the Astros, but this guy is definitely meant something to
Yeah,
baseball.
he changed the
Yeah.
game. He changed the game. He's been a manager for over 20 years, and seeing what he's done for the game of baseball is huge. And it's sad to let go of someone that's been so connected with the league for so long. Not and what I mean by this is not only was he managing, he was playing. And as you said, he played with Hank Aaron, and that was around what, the 60s. I mean, the
Yeah, 60s,
70s.
70s. Yeah.
Yeah, like the fact that he's been almost in the league for about what,
50 years.
50 years, like that's something that we don't see out of, you know Tom Brady in the NFL. I mean, he was only in the league for 20 something years, but man, Hank Aaron's I mean, Dusty Baker has been in the league for a long time. So I think we just have to give him respect. Obviously no one really likes the Astros unless you live in Houston. Uh, but we just have to thank him for being such a huge part of the game, because where would we have been without him? Just managing. And
Yeah.
and I gotta say,
Yeah.
even though I don't like the Astros, I'm so happy he won a championship managing. He deserves it, man. Like, he's
He
going
definitely
down in the
deserves
Hall
it.
of Fame because he is one of the best managers of all time.
And there's the famous I don't even know if it's a folk story or whatever that he invented the high five after a home run he hit with the Dodgers way back when, which is I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's just another thing to add to the lore of Dusty Baker and his insane career. So we wish
Oh,
all
but
the yeah.
yeah. But by the way, I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was the World Series. I think it might have. It was in the postseason somewhat.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but his son ran out to the field and tried. He was the bad boy, so
Oh
he ran out to the
yeah.
field. Yeah, that I think that's one of the best moments of Dusty Baker's career. I mean, well, it's not like a funny. It's a funny moment, but it's not. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a moment to be acknowledging as like
Yeah.
as a good moment. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, but
thankfully for one of his players to pick him up, his son up, and take him back to the dugout is huge. And obviously, the MLB did make a rule that now no one over the age of 15, 14, 16, something like that, cannot be a ball boy anymore just because of that reason. So it's pretty
yeah.
crazy that his son made a law or a rule
Yeah.
in MLB.
Yeah, but we wish all the best to Dusty Baker and just he's, like we said, had a legendary career in the MLB, and I think that he definitely deserves to live out his retirement after his 2 World Series and his just absolute fairy tale of a career. So we have some quick things to talk about in soccer. So there are 2 rivalry games in soccer this weekend. El Clasico is today as of filming. Of course, Real Madrid versus FC Barcelona. It's currently 1-0 FC Barcelona. And this is the 256th meeting between the two. And of course, we have the crosstown rivalry of the mighty Man City versus Man U at Old Trafford.
Hold on,
These two
before we go,
games are
hold
crazy.
on. Yeah, I mean, before we move along with anything else, wait, can I ask who you're rooting for? Like, who do you prefer out of these two when it comes to playing?
For
Like,
Man
when
U.
it comes to but when it comes
Yeah.
to Man City versus Man U.
I don't want to root for either as a Liverpool fan. The Man U rivalry is
I mean,
definitely
would
more
you?
historic and crazy, but Man City is the best team and is the man to beat right now. I mean, they've lost 2. I guess it's Tottenham now, which we'll talk about in a second. But I'm gonna go with Man City to win this one. I can't let Man U win.
Yeah,
I can't root for them. That
listen.
can't happen.
I just think that Man City's the better team. They have Julian Alvarez, who is phenomenal. I think he's one of the best rising
Yeah.
stars in the league right now at the age of 24. He's already won multiple trophies. You know, he won the World Cup this past year in 2022. So due to the fact that he's played around great talent. He's playing with Haaland, Messi. He's playing with such great players and coaches and staff. I just think that him and Haaland and anyone else on this Man City team, whether it's De Bruyne or really just anyone.
Anyone, yeah.
There's so much to name. Like Grealish, for example, this Man City team is just so good. I think that they could definitely win.
I think that they will win. I don't even know if it's definitely. Man U has looked so shaky. It's been bad, and I feel bad for their fans. But I mean,
listen.
at Old Trafford,
Rashford.
yeah.
No, listen. Rashford cannot carry this team at all. All right, Rashford is not going to be able to carry this team, and I just think it's going to be an easy win for Man City, though.
Yeah, but it's going to be technically a home game for Man U. The Man U faithful showing up to the game there. Man City making the.
I don't think that's going to change anything.
Man City making the 5-minute drive to the other stadium to sit in the away section. But we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, Tottenham Hotspur has jumped to the top of the table after struggles as of late from Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal. The team has looked really good so far this year, but we'll see if their reign lasts long. Any quick things to say about Tottenham?
Yeah. I think Tottenham, just due to the fact that they have not won a single trophy in recent history,
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think that they will remain long.
Remain at.
I don't know. I just think they're gonna fall back short, super, super, super bad.
Yeah, they've looked very, very strong. The game against Liverpool that kind of pushed them to the top was very controversial, with both referees from the game getting suspended after it. And I don't even want to talk about that game right now because I was just sad for me to watch. But we'll see what happens with Tottenham. And obviously, we like talking about soccer here, and we'll keep you updated on the Prem as the season
definitely
continues.
I think we should definitely be talking about soccer almost every week. I think we're gonna probably make this like a weekly thing, not just every month or every weekly.
Yeah. So as always, at the end of the episode, it's time for the fast fact. This week we have a quick one. The NBA will be returning to the East versus West NBA All-Star Game format after using captains for 6 years, which is crazy that it's been happening for that long, which were voted by fans. The 2023-24 All-Star Game will take place on February 18th at the Gainsbridge Fieldhouse, home of the Indiana Pacers.
Listen, Andrew, I couldn't remember. Like, I honestly feel like it was just 2018, like last year, bro. Like, the fact that it's been 6 years is insane. Like, I don't know if you like for you, like growing up, like as a little kid, like when I was very, very little, like watching the NBA All-Star Game and the dunk contest and everything was so fun to me.
Oh boy, the dunk contest.
Listen, in the last 2 years, it has not been the same. All right. ever since 2020, it's not been the same.
Yeah.
The dunk contest. I don't want to rant about this right now. Maybe in future, maybe when it comes to
Yeah.
All-Star Weekend, we'll talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll focus on that and during All-Star Weekend. But yeah, the fact that it's been 6 years since this change is crazy. And I don't know if I mean, obviously we weren't born, but when like in like the early like the late 1990s, around like that time, they used to do like they used to wear their own jersey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's like if they added that back to the East versus West format, which I know they won't because the NBA
Yeah.
doesn't listen to their fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean that'd be pretty cool, but I know they won't do that just because due to the fact that maybe it will like confuse some players. I know, because home teams, it should be a little
The
confusing, but
All-Star game has gotten so funny.
bad.
And
Nah,
funny,
but it's
but
like,
funny in a
but it's
bad
like,
way. It's
nah, it's not.
bad.
It's like corny. It's like a little like it's not the same as what we've
And
seen,
I just
and it's ever since 2020 and like before that. You know what I mean?
just want to
Like,
go out and say this. I think MLB is the best All-Star game. The Pro Bowl is
yeah,
dumb
no,
at this point.
yeah, no.
NHL is
Listen,
like
the NFL is done. NHL is I don't
it's
know.
still going, but it's
Listen,
a little
listen. No one tunes into the NHL All Star game unless I'm bored as hell. I'll watch it. So yeah, the NHL's already out. The main two contenders is either obviously the slam dunk contest, the skills challenge, and the and the celebrity games and all that stuff that they have. It's the same thing with like the MLB, the home run derby,
yeah,
all the
MLB has
celebrity
that
games, like
celebrity
all that.
softball game. Yeah.
That's why I think most people tune into the MLB and the NBA. Now I know that the MLB has a large fan base in the United States of America, although NBA has a huge fan base around the world. I think that more people like to tune into the All Star game, but in recent history and growing up for me, I loved the All Star game for them and for the NBA more than the MLB, but I've gone to All Star games for the MLB and I do gotta say, man, the atmosphere when it comes to home run derbies are something you've never seen.
Yeah,
So
it's so fun.
like
Watching on
it's
TV
no
even. It's
listen
a
no
different
even on
experience.
TV it's not it's something like it's so fun. And I've actually gotten some balls during it like during it. It was actually insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that the All Star games is just such a huge part about in the middle of the season. But I just think that these are the two main contenders in the All Star games because what even is the NFL Pro Bowl anymore? And no one and listen, no one tunes into the NHL All Star game, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'm happy you agree with me about the MLB All-Star game, and
Oh, for sure. I
it's gonna be
mean,
fun this year again.
even watching it this past summer was just so fun, you know. And then when it comes to guys like hitting like almost 40 home runs in one round is just insane. And
Yeah,
that's just something we don't
J
see.
Rod. Yeah,
Yeah, J Rod went crazy last year, but yeah.
yeah. So unfortunately, we are gonna have to end it here. We got a little sidetracked on the fast fact there, but I'm happy we were able to talk about the MLB All-Star game a bit because we didn't get to
Yeah.
because the podcast started after that. But that has been the 12th episode of the Sports Coverage Podcast already. Vince is back. So thank you everyone for listening. Subscribe, like, see Instagram. We, as always, release when these episodes come out there. So thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.